honestly, I'm not exaggerating. I thought when Jen sent this to me that this was The Onion. I thought that when Jen sent this to me, this was truly The Onion. I hope if you faint of heart, if you are, having if you're not on a full stomach, if you just can't handle certain ridiculousness, I implore you to sit down. Make sure you're sitting. Or not running while this is broadcasting. The Washington Post, obviously the preeminent Bernie Sanders hater, they'll prop up a snail if it means hurting Bernie Sanders, has offered Elizabeth Warren quite lovely coverage, just like the New York Times has, just like CNN, MSNBC, whose I said might as well become a super PAC. So it's amazing to me. We expect this from the Washington Post, but this story that I saw today, I thought this was The Onion. I had to look twice. So Elizabeth Warren, let's listen. We got to deal in reality. She is growing. She is a competitor to Bernie Sanders. Right now, I'd say, to me, Bernie's stronger competition is Joe Biden, because I think if Biden doesn't collapse before the election, he is up in all the polls. I mean, that's just the facts. So I think Bernie will have a better chance pulling away voters from Biden than he will Warren, because the media keeps saying Bernie and Warren have similar voters. No, they don't. Bernie's, as I've always said, mostly making under $50,000, mostly those with only high school degrees. Has a more diverse coalition, African Americans, Latinos. So, but Elizabeth Warren is doing well in a lot of polls. She's in second now, and that's just reality. Some of the polls are are undersampling people that are younger. Some of the polls, the sample size overall is bad, but there's been enough polls that we need to deal in reality. She is going to be a tough competitor, but part of why she's going to be a tough competitor is the media has showered her with just adoring coverage. I mean, Jesus, it's almost like she's the only person ever who's written out a plan for something. And apparently, the media treats her doing selfies at her events with supporters as reinventing the wheel of political campaigning. But apparently for the Washington Post, Elizabeth Warren taking selfies is now comparable to abolitionist hero Frederick Douglass. I'm just going to be quiet for a second and let that sink in. Frederick Douglass, photos smash stereotypes. Could Elizabeth Warren's selfies do the same? Yep. That's I want to make sure you see, this is the Washington Post, not The Onion, comparing Elizabeth Warren taking photos off of your phone to abolitionist hero Frederick Douglass. Just to make sure, I just want to make sure, would you like me to read any more, folks, or are you already vomiting? So, and by the way, this makes like the adoring coverage Barack Obama got in 2007 and 2008 look like child's play. I mean, you want to talk about free airtime they gave Donald Trump in 2016 and 2016? This is embarrassing. So I'm only going to read a little because I can't stomach much more. But, if you need a history lesson, Frederick Douglass, one of the leaders of the abolitionist movement, hero, the Civil War and beyond, fought for women's rights too, took photos that are in museums probably all over this country. Frederick Douglass, a black man campaigning for the abolition of slavery in the 1840s, appears alone in almost every photograph, staring down the camera in isolated, thoughtful splendor. Elizabeth Warren, a white woman campaigning for the presidency in 2019, features today in countless iPhone photos and Instagram feeds, her arm around voter after voter, always bearing the same wide grin. The two are separated by race, gender, and more than 100 years of history that forged an America that would probably be unrecognizable to Douglass. Still, experts say their use of photography collapses the distance. Douglass sat for scores of pictures to normalize the idea of black excellence and equality. And Warren's thousands of selfies with supporters could do the same for a female president. I'm not going to read anymore because it's my birthday and I don't want to vomit. And I'm not even attacking Elizabeth Warren. I mean, I assume she's not writing the pieces for the Washington Post. So let's put her aside for a second, even though I think she's really a phony baloney on a lot of things. But let's put that aside for a second. You know, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on the Civil War, the abolition of slavery, but I do know that Frederick Douglass was a slave. I do know that Frederick Douglass had masters. And I do know that Frederick Douglass helped lead the abolitionist movement. So Elizabeth Warren, you know, talks kind of like came from a, I don't know what you would call it, lower working class family in Oklahoma. I believe she was not a slave. Correct me if I was wrong. You know, they had some economic challenges, but like, they were free to like go to and from the bathroom when they wanted, or the movies when they wanted, or had freedom of movement and choice of how they would like to live their life. I believe that was the case for Elizabeth Warren in her upbringing in Oklahoma. I wasn't there, but I'm just guessing. Elizabeth Warren, you know, intelligent woman, not going to take that away from her. But frankly, which I'm keeping it real, folks, we're all being naive, and her supporters are being naive. I mean, this Native American thing, whether right or wrong, is going to come back in the general election. Hillary Clinton, in large part, lost because nobody trusted her. And Elizabeth Warren, you know, I don't believe Frederick Douglass, like, put down, he was a white guy, to, like, get a job at Harvard. You know what I'm saying? So, this comparison, like Elizabeth Warren, dare I say, there was a bit of a cultural appropriation to advance herself. I'm not saying she wasn't intelligent. I'm certainly not saying she didn't, on the merits, wasn't smart enough or had the grades or whatever to get into prestigious schools or become a professor at Harvard. But I'm pretty sure Elizabeth Warren's upbringing was not as challenging as Frederick Douglass. I'm also pretty sure that call me, you know, just confused. I mean, this, let me see who wrote this for the Washington Post. Like, okay, Hannah Natanson. You know, I'm not trying to dox her or whatever. Hannah Natanson. So, let me explain to Hannah and the Washington Post. The selfie was not invented by Elizabeth Warren. Okay? I don't know who invented the selfie, but I'm pretty sure it was not Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren's use of the selfie after her campaign events, it's good political strategy. You know, it helps, you know, solidify that connection with those voters. It's not exactly a revolutionary technique. I do know other politicians that have taken selfies with supporters and voters. Elizabeth Warren, frankly, is... She hasn't had that challenging of a life. I'm not trying to be difficult. I know that, you know, I think her father or her mother lost their job and, you know, they were on the verge of bankruptcy, things like that. You know, a lot of other people have the same story. So, like, I'm not diminishing that, you know, her family had some economic struggles, but I wouldn't even have that in the same sentence as Frederick Douglass. I mean, what is next? Are we going to start comparing her having selfies with voters to Rosa Parks? Harriet Tubman? Malcolm X? MLK? I mean, Che Guevara? Oh no, they hate him. So, honestly, folks, like, I got to tell you the truth. The corporate media has chosen their alternative to Joe Biden. And I think they're hedging their bets. Joe Biden, let's face it, I've been saying it for weeks, he's not looking wonderful, folks. He's not looking wonderful. As the campaign season continues, I think something's wrong cognitively. I've been saying it for weeks. I think, I'm not diagnosing him, I'm not a doctor, but the more people see somebody who's struggling cognitively, Those poll numbers are going to start to slide, folks. You watch. But the corporate media needed a fallback. And obviously, they tried to push Kamala Harris, but she's just kind of like a human robot. Her arms flail. She kind of says things in a programmatic way, whatever the donors told her to say, whatever the consultants told her to say. There's no authenticity. There's no there. And she's gone. She's not going to win. We know that. Pete Buttigieg, is kind of her robot twin, right? And Pete Buttigieg is like Medicare for anyone who wants it. Get the out of here. So Kamala's gone. Pete's gone. Our friend Bill de Blasio dropped out today. So who really is left? I'm sorry if you're part of the Yang gang. I don't see Andrew Yang becoming the nominee. And I don't think he should become the nominee. But in fairness, I am interviewing next week a UBI supporter, because I had Steve Grumbine on to crap all over UBI. So now I want to give a UBI supporter a chance. So I want to be fair. So what's amazing to me, they've chosen Elizabeth Warren, because obviously the Washington Post, CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, the Associated Press, all of them, they would rather put, I don't know, think of the worst person, John Bolton, in the White House, than let Bernie Sanders breathe near the White House. That is how fiercely the United Corporations of America will protect their wealth. That is why. And this is why, frankly, I don't want to be unfair to Elizabeth Warren, because she is, frankly, running a good campaign. I think a lot of her campaign is based on bull. I think, frankly, if you kind of peel back the eye of a plan, it's somebody who has hemmed and hawed on Medicare for all. It's somebody that doesn't want to say that, yeah, taxes are going to have to go up a little bit, which Bernie Sanders does say. She won't acknowledge that. She won't acknowledge it during the debate. She wouldn't say taxes will go up a little bit to fund it, but your costs overall will go down. She wouldn't say it when Stephen Colbert challenged her. She won't say it in interviews with CNN, because she's not going to fight for it. And she is basically trying to be everything to everyone. Where Bernie's just straight up, yeah, like in other countries, your taxes will be a little bit more, but the cost savings from not having to pay all this for healthcare, you're overall going to be, it's basically a tax cut, because deductibles, co-pays, co-insurance, hidden bills, it's all the same. Those are taxes on you. So overall, the cost savings are going to be way more than the tax increase. Elizabeth Warren won't even say that, because she's not being genuine. I'm just going to keep it real, folks. This is beyond manufacturing consent. This is the corporate media literally as a side PR team for Elizabeth Warren. And she's loving it. Yeah, maybe some arrows will get thrown her way in the next debate. But frankly, it's up to journalists at this point, because I don't think Bernie's going to go after her. Not right now. So it's up for journalists to clearly show those differences. If not, I fear a lot of the propaganda surrounding her, that she has a plan for everything, when a lot of her plans, frankly, are borrowed from Bernie and others. This notion that she's an anti-corruption crusader, when she's like, yeah, once the calendar turns August, if I'm the nominee, give me the money, baby. Give me that fossil fuel money. Give me that big bank money. Give me that real estate money. Give me that pharmaceutical money. Give me that money. No. It's about integrity. You're either against the bribery and the toxic effect of money in politics, or you're not. Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com, where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.